Good morning. Welcome to 4x8 Paper Stuff. This is Beth. We are in a creative mixed media art journal, a traveler's notebook size, following the words and wisdom of Mark Twain in his book, Following the Equator. Sit down, enjoy, and let's see where we go. Ignore my coffee and my other coffee and focus on this. I did some more of these on the side on just plain paper. Oh, I love that one. I mean, it's not rocket science and it's not new, but I love these. Working on Halloween already on the side. Truth be known, I have my Christmas junk journal too. Neither one of which are 4x6s, but that's okay. Or at least not yet. I don't know. I don't know what the chapter is about today. You and I are going to go through this together. Oh, you guys, California. Oh, it is such a mess. I'm glad Mark Twain isn't here to see all that country he loved. On the rail again, bound for Bendigo. This is an old Bible study trick that I had, that I love, that I use all the time now. Underlining keywords. Green is for cities and reference to landscapes and towns and geographical issues. Green for ground is how I remember. Got up at 6, left at 7:30. Here's another one. Time. Time and people are in blue. Time is a circle with a little hand. Soon reached Castle, Maine. One of the rich gold fields of the early days. Waited several hours for a train, left at 3:40. Don't worry, I'm not going to read the whole thing to you. Reach Bendigo in an hour. So it's only an hour away. This is on October 23rd. Ooh, he's close to Halloween. And then I cheat sometimes, and then I say, okay, the rest of the chapter is about people that he met along the way on the train. But there's a description of Bendigo in here. Bendigo was another of the rich strikes of early days. So I think we're going to do, it was actually taken 9 hours to come from Ballarat to Bendigo. We could have saved 7 by walking. I think that he had to wait for the train that long, is what he was saying. The train was late. Bendigo turned out even more gold than Ballarat. Oops, wrong color. I'm skimming this chapter. And it's way more than California had. The two together have produced $650 million worth, which in 1897, can you imagine? Which is half as much as California has produced. Bendigo and Ballarat together. Way more gold than California had. And California had a lot. All right, we're going to say Bendigo and gold. In reference to time. And he's talking about the different people and their faults and pluses. And then, this is how I've been doing it. I write up here. This is Sunday for Monday, because I always film the day before. And Bendigo, late train, gold, lots of gold. And there's already a chapter summary. He did this on his own. Each chapter is laid out. I've been keeping track of the chapters as I go. We're on chapter 25, checking them off as I go. I'm usually a couple chapters ahead of you reading-wise, but I'm not today. So we're going to say Bendigo, Late Train, and lots of gold. How are we going to do this? I don't want to do the same thing I've done the last 2 days, even though I love it. Even though I love it. Yeah, California's in such a mess. The fire by my sister is 300,000 acres. The fire up north by where I grew up is encompassing 5 counties. Sonoma, Napa, Solano, Yolo, and another one. Lake, I don't know. And that whole and the grapes are almost ready to be harvested. They're burning. If y'all want any wine from California, you better have some in storage, because there may not be any wine for the next couple years. Oh, so pretty. It's so sad. But I started to say, they interviewed, I saw one news clip. My sister was sending me pictures. I'll try to remember to put pictures here too. I have my friend sending me pictures from Sacramento area, east of Sacramento. And there, she's in the foothills, in the gold country. And the smoke is getting caught in the valleys of the foothills, and how bad it is. They even told the parents on Friday to not let your children walk to school because the smoke was so thick, and it's causing, issues. And if you have any kind of breathing issues, or if you've had COVID and your lungs are compromised, do not go outside. You must wear a mask outside, not only for COVID, but because of the stuff. But they interviewed, one of the clips I saw, an interview of a fireman who said, I've been a fireman for 32 years and I've never seen anything like this. It was all lightning strikes. There was no arson. I think they said there's 500 fires in California right now. Now that included all forest fires, even little tiny ones that got put out in 20 minutes. But as of yesterday morning, there were 500 fires in California burning. Incredible. It's so sad. Campgrounds that I went to as a kid are gone. I'm going to cut this out because I'm going to spell gold with these little letters. This is a copy of a sticker, and I copied it in black and white. Could I use the sticker? Yeah. God, I don't want to. Oh, here's some great looking men. Those could be miners. Let's include them. These are some images I've gotten off that I've made tons of paper in Procreate of my own, collaging on the computer and making my own printables. Loving it. Loving it. Obsessed with it would be the better word. Now we need, seems like I had a clock on one of these. We need a clock because he was complaining about being late. Oh, this needs to go on my Halloween kit. I'm making my own kits these days. I think I have an obsession. You think? And my husband still hasn't gotten the brake drum up the street. Could I go get it? Yeah. Oh, you know what? I think there's a clock in one of these. Nick Bantock. All of a sudden, I'm seeing Nick Bantock everywhere. I don't know if it's because this puzzle book was relatively new, or if he's on the radar of YouTube and everybody's talking about him. I don't know. It's cool. Here's a clock right here. This is some of the images I printed for the Melbourne Cup, and I think I printed it twice. But this is the third year in a row second year in a row, the grape harvest has been compromised. The third year in a row, they have had fires bigger than ever before. Last year was bigger than ever before. The year before that was bigger than ever before. This year is bigger than last year. And we haven't even begun to get into fire season. Usually it doesn't start until September. It's so sad. So sad. One of my friends lives in Santa Cruz, which that's the second biggest fire, is in the Santa Cruz, south of San Francisco. She's lived there. She and her husband have a bunch of rental property. Her husband is a .com genius. Got in at the right time. And they have some rental property in San Francisco. And her sister, who is a vintner, a wine grower, grape grower, had to evacuate her house. She lives in the area where the second biggest fire is. And she's luckily one of their houses in San Francisco was empty, and that sister evacuated to my friend's house, her older sister, and she took 24 chickens with her. So if you go to rent a house in San Francisco and it smells like chickens, I know which one it was. It's tragic. It is tragic. And they were all lightning strikes, which is a weird phenomenon. Now we've got 2 hurricanes headed into the Gulf of Mexico at the same time. You don't think there's global warming happening? You're crazy. You are crazy. Because, yep, there's global warming. My sister, she's 45 minutes, she told me. I thought she was more like an hour, but she's 45 minutes west, and she had to go into her office for a few minutes yesterday. It was the first time she's been there since March, and she went on Saturday so she wouldn't have to be around anybody. And she said driving was it was like going through horrible patchy fog, which they have a lot of fog in the Central Valley where she is. And she said it was as bad as any fog I've driven through. And I will attach a couple pictures. I started to say they have, how many? Like, unbelievable amounts of firemen from all over the state, of course. Well, all over the state they're having to be used. But they have them from 5 other states and Australia. Now, some of our guys, some California firemen went to Australia when they had their bad fires last year. In fact, some of our firemen were killed in a helicopter crash. But Australia sent some of their firemen to help California. And it's just devastating. And oh, my heart breaks. Places that I camped as a kid are gone. It's horrible. So sad. My heart breaks for California. And they can't afford any of this financially because of COVID. And, our president, who will be here today for you, doesn't even acknowledge that California has issues because he doesn't like California, and California is not going to vote for him. Well, some of them will. The farmers all vote for Republican, but who knows if they're going to re-elect Trump. Who knows? Nobody knows. It's so convoluted, the stuff he's trying to pull here. So illegal and so wrong morally. Every day, you don't think it can get any worse than it does. It's really just tragic what's happening to our country. Thanks to Trump. All right, I'm going to, and I am sorry if you're not a Trump supporter, if you are a Trump supporter. I try not to talk about politics, but it's literally becoming dangerous here. Literally. Not as dangerous as, say, some third world countries, but the same kind of actions are happening. It's tragic. And he does not care. Well, he's perpetrating. Perpetrating? Is that the right word? He's creating them. All right, I spelled gold. And I think, see if I can add gold on the edge of this paper. My heart is just broken for California. The fires encompass the size of Rhode Island altogether. Are bigger than one of our states here. I mean, it's just. My favorite quilter, the lady that's just turned 90, well, she's not, yeah, she is one of my favorite that I love her Siddi, S-I-D-D-I quilts. She has property up in one of the areas where the fire is, and I sent her a message and I have not heard back. So, I don't know if her, luckily she's 90 and I don't think her daughters will let her go up there by herself anymore. But until a couple years ago, she was. This lady does whatever she wants and cuts down trees and everything else. And it was in a high hill area with a lot of grass. It's just, my heart just breaks. Just breaks. And not to, I mean, when you add all this on top of all their budget issues to begin with on a normal average day, California, and then you add in the COVID, which has messed with the budget big time, and now you're adding all the fires. And they said if our fire season is bad this year, you know, the state will go bankrupt. And I'm kind of glad I don't live there, but I feel sorry for lots of family that does live there. And friends in my hometown, and tragic circumstances that people should not have to go through. And animals, oh, the animal stories. Ooh. This took a depressing dive quickly, didn't it? Sorry. I don't know how, okay, I want to use these elements. What is the name of our town? Bendigo. I have to write myself notes or I get it messed up. Bendigo. I could use these again. Gold and Bendigo. I might have to cut out a second grouping, which is fine. B-E. D. I have to get a D. I. Ignore my husband talking to the dog. B-E-N-D-I-G-O. All right. I need another one. I just happen to have 2 copies of that. I could have spelled it with magazine letters, I guess. Or all my stickers that I have of letters from kits. Between Kelly Perky and Studio Calico and Allie Edwards. Got a lot of kits. But I stopped most of them. Allie Edwards, I think, is having problems getting her supplies, which I'm sure they're coming from China. Oops, I don't need the end. All right, now I need a G. B-E-N. I need a D. Who would have thought Bendigo would be this hard to come up with? B-E-N-D-I-G-O. I know I haven't cleaned my mat yet. All right. Let's put them on another scrap of yellow. Let's do it on this right here. Let's outline it in gold. Should we rough it up a little? And I still don't know how it's going to go together. Oh, this side's not torn. Bogey's okay. We go to the doctor on Tuesday. Tomorrow for you. If they say his blood pressure is not down, and to add another medicine, I don't know if it's fair to give him 3 medicines. He's already mad at me because I keep having to shove him in his mouth because he hates taking medicine, and he knows they're hidden in treats and everything else. How fair is it to keep making this dog suffer with medicine? Survive on medicine. Okay. Gotta trim some of these. This was a sticker that I got in one of my ephemera kits that I ordered on Etsy when I went on an Etsy ephemera kick last year. Maybe early this year, I don't know. Time is all screwed up. B. Let's hope this paper is big enough. E. And I. Ooh, it's just gonna barely fit. Sometimes you need to plan a little better than I do. Oh no, it's not gonna fit. Okay, it can stick off a little bit. That's okay. All right, so I have these 2 elements, that element, that element. I think I'm going to rough this up. I've never really done this trick until the last couple days, but I like it. Even on sides that aren't torn, You can kind of get there. Plus my little fold trick. Not my trick, somebody else's. But I love it. Then kind of hit the fold with a little bit of ink. It just makes it look even more authentic and distressed, like it came from the gold mine country of Australia. Bendigo. I haven't looked it up. I don't know. I guess we're still on our way to Melbourne. Maybe back to Sydney and catch another boat. Because eventually he has to get on another boat. To get to, I think he goes to New Zealand next. Don't quote me on that. Could be wrong. Okay. I think that's everything. I like that offsetting each other because it's a black and white to match the black and white photo. This kind of offsets that. These offset that. I think I like that. I think we're going to glue. Kind of like all these. Oh, I'll include a picture of my current quilt too. I worked on it yesterday a little bit. Kind of cool. It's a pattern by K Facet, which I've never done one of his actual patterns. Now, he does not do technical or elaborate patterns at all. They're all very simple. But I particularly like this one. Even the little girl next door, she said, "Ooh, I like that." Okay, now this is going to cross the fold, I think. Not to be confused with crossing the equator. All right, now I need to add these two. And I don't think that's going to be the extent of my journaling, are these two words, gold and bendigo. But I do have a spot right here. Maybe I should do a little bit. All right, this is day 22. How did I get so far off? We're on chapter 25. I never know. And my numbers on my video titles, I think, are all messed up too, so it is what it is. Train was very late for our trip to the gold mining town of Indigo. Oh, I forgot. I printed out some pictures of Ballarat. But oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. My marker bled through a little bit. That's okay. I'm going to go with it. I'm really, really, really loving this. You want another flip through? We're almost through with this volume. Well, we got a few more pages to go. Oh, gotten battered on our voyage. And the lumpy left is not quite as bad as it normally is. Okay. First day on the ship from Vancouver to the Sandwich Islands. Fish along the way. Had to go 2,343 miles. Arriving at the Sandwich Islands only to find there was a cholera pandemic and they could not get off the boat. He saw Diamond Head. This was the Nick Bantock paper here. Crossed the international date line, which that happened to be on the Nick Bantock paper tomorrow, so that was cool. That's actually the ship he's on. The SS Warramoo. I think it is. I've seen it Warramoo and Warramoo. I might have to add it, but I've seen it moo lately more than Warramoo. Saw the Southern Cross constellation in the sky. At sea, this is coral and sea urchins with a frame and a gold plate, jelly plate print, but there's lots of grunge on the sides from the jelly plate, which I love. Oh, and there's a magazine picture of the sea. And there was a person there, so we covered him up. I think there was writing there. Got to Fiji, which this is what I started to use, and talked about how many islands and when it gained and lost its independence. And then I was going to use that page, and I started to, and I did it again and did this. Which this is one of my papers made from Procreate with some stickers added in. Some weird images, some magazine images. Arrived in Fiji and its numerous islands, almost 300 white sand, palms, and tropical plants. And the heat. He complains a lot about the heat. He must be related to me. This is when he crossed the equator. The humidity is comparable to Columbia, South Carolina, which is where I live. And he wrote that in the book on page 114, which I thought was so cool. On our way to Australia, wave after wave, fish crashing into sides of boat. Are they in our way or are we in theirs? Here's the dolphin that led them into the Sydney harbor. And the moon was a full moon and the light was bouncing off their shiny skin, causing blinding splashes of explosion of lights. That's his words, not mine. And then this was talking about the prison colony of Sydney, of Australia. And this is a jelly plate my granddaughter did, which she usually creates mud, but in this instance, I thought it was appropriate. And this is Sydney Harbor, which is very similar to the shape of Lake Murray, where I live, in Columbia, South Carolina. Talking about sharks and sheep. So we put in the battle of teeth and fur, sharks and sheep, on a photocopy of a Jane Davenport stained paper towel. This is when the collage thing really bit me. On our way to Melbourne. He is on his way to Melbourne. I keep saying we, but it's he. I wasn't around in 1897. I am old, but not that old. He only saw birds and no kangaroos on a train. These colors all went together, and I love this. Going through Wagga Wagga. And this is another jelly plate on deli paper, which is delicious. And some train stickers and train ephemera for my stash. The Melbourne Cup. He's now in Melbourne. And Pictures of the Melbourne Cup and horses. This is when he goes to Adelaide. There's lots of symbolism here. This is my paper. That is a fan art piece from Nick Bantock, and he started with S12 and ended on S17, and it was a 17-hour trip to Adelaide. This is some lady he saw on the train. Again, time and pictures of Adelaide. Adelaide foliage and kangaroo leather. Talked about the kangaroo leather. This was another fan page made to look sort of like a Nick Bantock, which it really doesn't, but I swiped paint in the background and added some stamps and a homemade stamp. This is when he went to the botanical gardens and talked about boomerangs and wheats. So we had the botanical gardens and boomerangs and the wording, and flora and fauna and dingo dogs. This is English memories. He did a lot of reflecting in this chapter and did nothing about where he was. So we just added some typical Australia stuff. A kangaroo, a Oceania stamp, and some more collage pieces that I've made on the computer in Procreate. Talked a lot about Aborigines and wheats again. So we put in some Aborigine things with this color combo that I found out of a magazine, several different magazines, put it all together and liked it. And this came out of a children's encyclopedia book. Aborigine art he talks about, and I went wacko with aborigine.art. This is the train trip to Horsham, where I spelled out our topics and then put white tempera paint over them and grunged it up, and I love that. And I don't know where I want to put this yet, so it's still flapping in the breeze. Ballarat and gold, coming back into the East Coast. Again, I did that same technique where I spelled out Ballarat in gold and then grunged it up with white tempera paint and gold paint. Added a homemade stamp. And we have today, gold and bendigo. I'm loving this. This is really, I say this every time, this is one of my favorite journals so far. And maybe because I'm not in control, Mark Twain is. And that is a sticker of the cover of the book, which I just took a picture of it and then printed it on sticker paper. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I just remembered I got craft paper, sticker paper, and I ordered some clear sticker paper. I need to use those. Maybe tomorrow. Okay. Thanks for watching. See you all tomorrow.